Hey guys, so today we are going to talk about some core specific exercises you can do while pregnant, or maybe postpartum. You need to improve stability, you're concerned about doing too many exercises that would increase abdominal pressure. So clearly I'm pretty pregnant, I'm in my 3rd trimester, so not doing traditional core exercises like full sit-ups or anything like that, but I wanted to give you just an example of some things you can always add in, modify, do your own core work at home, because it's still extremely important to work your midsection while you're pregnant. You just don't want to think, oh, they're just getting stretched out, it doesn't matter. You still want these muscles to work. So it's important that when you're doing any of these activities, or really any activity, that you completely understand how to have a good stable core. You can check out our playlist because we have some specific videos on breathing and core stability, as well as modifications for other workout things. But quick overview is we just want to make sure we are able to expand on an exhale. And on the inhale, I want to get a contraction as well as a pelvic floor contraction. So this is nice and stable when I'm doing activity. If I have too much pressure, I'm pressing outward. That's when I can really get some coning, which we want to stay away from with these exercises. So for some standing core stability exercises, this is really kind of an anti-rotational exercise, which means we're going to use some resistance to try to make us rotate, but we're fighting against that. So really good whole core work. So this is called a Pallof Press, and you can do a lot of different things with it. So I'll give you a few examples. One, you can work on getting that good position right here, and then I'm nice and stable, and I'm just gonna extend, and I'm holding this here. I could work on just breathing in this static hold. I could work on pressing and changing kind of my pressure and the engagement as I move my arms in and out. Or I could also work on marching. I could work on a little bit of squatting. I could also do some little motions with my arms like circles. So then that way I'm challenging a few different positions, but I'm always putting some emphasis on my core stability because the band is wanting me to rotate. So we can also do some activity laying on our back. I know a lot of times, especially as you progress further into pregnancy, they talk about not laying on your back for prolonged periods of time, but it's fine to do as long as you're comfortable in short bouts to get a little bit of stability work. So I'm gonna lay down going to my side first so I don't put too much pressure, to just lay down straight to my back. And then I can work on that same thing where I'm stable, and then the easiest would just be marching, right? I can always feel to see if I have any coning. If I really pick my head up to look, there's more of a chance of that happening. So that's not gonna give you a true idea. So I would just kind of feel like, is this stable? Do I feel like it's moving? Am I peaking at the top at all? And then if you can march without a problem, you could try to hold both legs, which is more difficult, or I could even try to tap, which increases the demand on all of the muscles holding your pelvis stable. So you can still work those some. You also, good stability, keeping tight here, can work on some bridging. From here, you also could do a little bit of bridge marching, continuing to focus on that good stable position. We're gonna move into some side lying activity, which is pretty nice because now I'm not laying on my back, which some people are worried about doing, and something you don't wanna do for 30 or 40 minutes at a time. So we are gonna talk a little bit about some hip exercises, because obviously this area is becoming more lax because it needs to, but we want to make sure we still have good muscle engagement. If we get too lax and these muscles aren't getting stronger and working, that's not gonna be as good for labor or stabilizing your pelvis and your sacrum in areas that often women have pain and problems when they're pregnant. So always still focusing on that good core position, just doing some leg raises, right? So hip abduction, this way is good with a little pause, making sure we're not dynamic or kicking too high. That's not what we want. We just want a good controlled movement. And then you can always check to make sure you feel like your position is good. And then we can cross this over the top and do a little bit of adduction. So we're getting some groin work also. Okay, so I would recommend making sure you're getting some hip work in. And then from here, we can work side crunches this way or full body, and we're still focused on that good position here. If I'm not focused on it, then there's a better chance that I'm gonna cone because I have too much pressure coming forward. From there, I can also go up and work some side planks. Easiest would be here. So I'm on my knee. I can go harder where I'm all the way up this way, which puts a lot more demand on, so it makes me focus a lot more. I'm not coning. And then we can even go up to some positions like here, where maybe I come up and I get a little bit of a crunch. So now I'm getting a little bit more activity here and some hip work. So it doesn't all have to be static or holds, but we can add that in. So that's a really good addition to do some side work. So another direction that we're gonna work on is some quadruped, so up on our hands and our knees. This position, gravity's wanting to pull down. So this is even just working on breathing and engaging in this position can be tricky because gravity's wanting to pull forward on our abdomen. So even just working some good breaths can be a good workout if you don't have good stability here. From here, we can work on just challenging that position with some shoulder taps, shifting back and forth, reaching forward. Also, we can get some good glute work in this position. I'm making it harder by feeling my abdomen because now I only have 2 points of contact. We can work on some glutes here or get a little bit more glute work by pressing up this way. And that's something we don't want to ignore. We don't want to ignore our hamstrings or our glutes. And I think sometimes, I can't lay on my stomach and do hamstring curls. So that's a really great way to get in some hamstring activity. So I would say, in the hands and knees position, which is not an uncomfortable one, you could do some breathing work, then get into just some upper body. If you're stable with that, move to your lower body. And you can even just do some isometric holds. So can I do my good breathing pattern while I'm holding a position like that?
Well, I think it was really good too, just to kind of elaborate on that. You were not like overextending in that position. Mm-hmm. You're staying in a position where you feel like you can stay under control and make sure that you're keeping the focus, because the focus is still on the core.
Right, I'm still really working on using this. I will say, one thing that gets difficult is when you're standing, you feel like you're in that extended position a lot. So I spend a lot of time really focusing on being active this way. But it's not one of those things, if you're someone who likes to do press-ups or likes to do that sometimes, your best option is really gonna be that little bit here. So it's good to do that, yep. But we don't wanna train in that position. We wanna train in that good stable position. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of seated core work, and I'm gonna use this ball.
There you go.
And it's gonna be right here, like at my sacrum. I'm not leaning back very far. The further back I lean, the more demand, the more of a chance I'll cone. So this is kind of giving me something to lean on. I can do my breath, make sure I'm engaged, and then from here, this is just making it work, to be honest, right? And I could come up a little bit. Little lean, no coning, come back up. So this could kind of be my crunch or my sit-up, but without going through full motion. The one thing I like about this also is I can get into my good position, and I can do a little bit of rotation, which we don't want to ignore because rotating is important to be able to do, especially if you think about you're still going to have to pick up a baby and do all kinds of things. So we want to train some of that stability in rotation. I can make it harder by bringing my hands up. I can make it harder by leaning and coming back. So that we're getting a little bit of rotation, but we're never stressing it too much because I have that little bit of support right at my sacrum. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned some things. If you'd like to hear more about pregnancy, postpartum, core stability, make sure you check out our full playlist. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments. And I would also love to know if you tried any of these and how they went. Thanks. Have a great day.